I went from a 2.2 in my first semester of my undergraduate to an average of 3.8 in my graduate studies. And there was basically one thing, like really one single thing that changed for me and that then caused an avalanche of improvements that made me a better student. When I first walked into the university, I was so relieved that I got accepted. I knew that I wanted to be amongst the best students, to get the freedom to choose any job I want after graduating from university. Therefore, I was eager to put in effort into my studies. During the semester, I never missed even a single lecture. After each class, I went to the library or back home to study until it was evening, and I felt so incredibly smart and productive. I was so wrong. As exam season slowly approached, I somehow felt less and less confident, and my bad gut feeling turned out to be true. I failed an exam and had an average of a 2.2 GPA, which really crushed a little bit of confidence that I had left. I felt really stupid and thought that the other people around me that had better grades with seemingly less struggles were simply smarter. I told myself that I would not let that happen again and studied even harder. I put more hours into it. However, I should have listened to my gut feeling, which somehow knew that something was not right with that. But of course, I only realized this later on. In my third semester, I was probably at my low. I had better grades by that time, but at the same time, studying was less fun as it made up most of my day and left less time for sports and friends and other things that I wanted to pursue. I wanted to be doing sports outside and cooking with friends, but whenever I felt like I was not finished with studying or that I should do even more, I ditched my free time and plans and instead sat on my desk. This was also the first time that I actually thought about dropping out. In my fourth semester, I really wanted to change something. I wanted to have more time for the activities I really enjoy. Studying still had the highest priority, but now with a constraint. I wanted more free time and would not cancel any plans because of studying. A friend of mine actually sent me a video about study tips and I was like, wait a minute, there are different ways to study? Yeah. There are. To get more free time, I then decided that I would not study after 6 p.m. in the evening, and also that Sundays were reserved for whatever I wanted to do, except studying. I knew I had to try out different study techniques and wanted to use one exam as an experiment. There was one class that I liked, but I was not really prepared for it, and I knew that if I would be studying the way I was used to, it would result in a bad grade anyway. So yeah, I gave it a chance. I tried out study techniques like blurting, which essentially means that you prepare revision materials, read through it, put it away and then try to write everything down that you remember. I made a mind map for each lecture of this class and did this for 5 or 6 days. In addition, I found some old exams, something that I did not look for in the semester before because university is for lifelong learning, you know? Yeah. When I walked into the exam, I felt just as prepared as for the other exams, but when the results came, I was shocked. I had studied less than for all of the other exams and yet had a 1.0, which basically means in Germany, full marks, that's a 4.0. I had the best grade, but that was only the beginning of my journey. The one thing that changed for me and improved my grades drastically in this semester sounds counterintuitive, but it was to study less. My prior logic was to get better grades, my goal should be to study more, but that's simply not true. The goal is to get more done in the same amount of time or less time even. Look at me, like really, this is the most important message I can give you. The goal is not to study more, but to get more done. After realizing this, I then further decreased the time that I allowed myself to study. As a result, this meant that I had to become more efficient if I wanted to still get good grades. Therefore, I assigned 20 minutes of each day to only educating myself about studying, and it completely changed my academic performance. Basically, my logic was, okay, I can now sacrifice some time that I would usually use for studying and spend time about how to study, and later on this would pay off. And it did. I would highly encourage you to do the same. Whatever amount of time you study right now, use a portion of it to inform yourself how to study. I'm now in my master's, so in my graduate studies, with an average of 3.8, while studying only, let's say 2 or 3 hours in addition to going to class. Yes, I could probably get better grades by studying more, but I personally value free time, sports and friends over that additional grade improvement. And I could probably still get better grades within the same time, I know that, and I'm trying that. I'm trying to improve my system continuously and I try to keep growing. This is only the beginning for me. Let me know what your tips are. I read every single comment and I would love to learn from you. So what are some of the tips that I learned along the journey? Set yourself a deadline that you want to be finished with studying. Set aside time for educating yourself about how to study. I hope this gave you the push you needed to do the research and change the way you study. If I, once with a GPA of 2.8, was able to do it, you will be able to do it as well. Keep growing.